Hello everyone and welcome to another video review of a unit, and today we are going to be taking a look at Rinoa both in the True Dual Hand and Enhancements. Since both happened relatively in the same time, True Dual Hand magic came out a little bit a while ago, and I was essentially waiting to see what Rinoa's enhancements would be. So now that we've got Rinoa's enhancements, I can basically, give a nice review here. So let's take a peek at it. So Rinoa ended up getting some rather interesting enhancements. They're something of what she needs, but I'm not entirely convinced that they are exactly what she needs. First of all, getting a W cast for her abilities is nice. Could they have not given it just to use a couple of different abilities? In her kit, really, this uses one ability, and that's about it. I really don't like this. This enhancement, while it does essentially allow you to double cast her magic stacking attack, which is arguably Rinoa's most valuable thing. Just double cast for one ability? Why didn't you just make it proc twice? Either way, this ability is nice, it is needed, but my god, does it just feel inflexible, and you might as well have just made the ability double proc twice. Anyway, not a big fan of how they did this in her kit. Next up, Guardian Force. Guardian Force allows for just more Esper stats, a total of 50% Esper stats. Love this, love Esper stats. As Espers get stronger, so does she. Nothing to complain about. Next up, modifying her big magic damage ability. Now this is the stacking damage one. I love this ability to death. The modifiers that it got on it are just too small. I mean, they make the ability stronger, but come on, Alum. She's not exactly this massive powerhouse right now. Could have given her a little bit of extra percent to maybe push her a little bit higher. So, not a huge fan of that. Next up, her counters proc more. Great. Love Angelo. 100% enhance them. Do it. And the last thing, just for losing the 30% MP for getting the W cast, she gets it here. She also gets a total of 100% attack and magic. Since she has some hybrid attacks, this is nice, but doesn't feel quite enough. And speaking of magic stats, Rinoa is pretty damn good. If you look right now, 2202, this is a build which pretty much could be a little bit better here, but is kind of about as good as I could. It has 4 magic true dual hands on her. That's about as good as it can get. Now, that's with Golem. Now let's take a peek once we throw in a stronger one like Leviathan 3-star. 2292 does help boost her up, but can she get anywhere near in the realm of someone like Freya, Ellie, or Ultima? Not quite, and she doesn't have quadricasting of her abilities, and her triple cast of her magic spells are still locked behind just a ton of stuff. So here's my big problems. One, the enhancements do fix some things that Rinoa did need. She needed more passives. Her hybrid attacks just really don't do enough, it feels like. If you look at some of the hybrids like Nagi, who have just such high modifiers on their abilities, Rinoa's aren't that good, so you're basically good at just building her as a, true dual hand mage. The problem is that Rinoa here essentially gets the same benefit from this that she gets from Medina's super TMR, with better weapon enhancements. It doesn't help either that, it doesn't really help that her weapon is a projectile which has shitty magic enhancements. I mean, the best you can hope to get is, a 10, a 15, and a 12%, which isn't bad, but it's really hard to get, and every time you see the rare ability, you just think, oh my god, wish the rare ability had magic on it, because the rare ability is just HP and bleh. Like, projectiles just aren't really great for mages and are not great here. So stat-wise, Rinoa has, you know, some decent enough stats, but I feel like there's a couple of things holding her back. One, her TMR. This could get rebalanced in the near future, but I wouldn't really put money on it. It's probably not going to happen, and it's probably not going to be enough to really make Rinoa shine. This would need about 150 to 160 magic to really push Rinoa into the realm of potentially being amazing. The other thing that holds Rinoa back is her base magic and the fact that she can only put 50 stat into her magic. I have no idea why Alum did this, considering that primarily she's a mage. This needed to be 65. Her base magic 203 is so much lower than the top mages. So while her enhancements do fix and potentially give her an interesting future, depending on her TMR balancing, it's not really enough. And that was how I kind of think or would basically classify Rinoa's enhancements. They're good. They're not good enough. They are lacking. They do not fix what is primarily wrong with Rinoa, which is she needs a higher amount of magic stat in her kit. So to show you how much this ability does, we're going to go in. Again, if we take a look at double cast, what a selection. And we will not chain it in just to show. So about 2, then 4 million. Now we're not using any buffs or any killers on this one, just to show the flat damage. So the damage does start stacking fairly nicely. Like I said, Rinoa can get a potentially incredibly high modifier on her ability the more she uses it. Problem is that only being able to use it twice, she's not stacking as fast as someone like Ellie or Ultima. So Rinoa is and still feels like a very long battle mage. So let's just, for the sake, give her that, which will boost her up. Sure, go ahead, girls, get them. And just because, let's just boost a little bit. Why not? And go. So you can see she gets in a fair amount of damage now, but if you consider that it's turn 5 and that's the best we kind of get from it, it's definitely strong. It's much more powerful than she used to be, but in comparison to what we're looking at on the Japanese side right now, this still feels pretty just okay. But let's try her limit burst to show that, because everything about Rinoa got enhanced, so okay, and 3, 2, 1, go. A little early on that. Timing's a little weird, but not too bad. Right, now we got this nice 200% boost. We're going to do... Again, timing is very, very odd. And I have no idea if this will work, but let's give it a shot. God, I love PC chaining. It works so well, most of the time. Alright? I love you, Rinoa. I really do, but Rinoa still has the fundamental problem she did before, and honestly, I'm not entirely convinced they will do much better with Squall's enhancements unless they really nicely rebalance his TMR to be considerably stronger than it is right now. Rinoa does get a pretty nice little benefit from being a true tool hand mage, But the things that are holding her back are still the same things that were holding her back before her enhancements. Low base magic stat, not being able to put in 65 pots, a slightly confused kit that tries to be hybrid even though she's very clearly a mage, and her TMR, which has the best chance of being fixed in the near future, but it still really needs a nice buffing, and a really nice buffing. Whatever the hell Alan was playing with in Rinoa's kit, cut it out. She's not a hybrid. She's very clearly a mage. I don't know where the hell you even got the idea that she was a hybrid. Long story short, Rinoa's enhancements show the promise of a bright future. I think that she could really be considerably stronger after the TMR balancing, depending on how her TMR is balanced. The fundamental part of her kit that is there, probably not going to be fixed, but she's still a pretty damn strong true dual hand mage, and in the grand scheme, I'd say that she is a better long-term mage, in that she fights for in a longer fight than a short-term fight, but not having an element on her attack is, again, both a strength and weakness, as we've seen. So yes, Rinoa, love you to death. You're still an amazing tornado chain user, and you can potentially push out some real damage, but it's a little bit too slow, and her enhancements just aren't quite enough. So that is all for this one. I will see you guys next time, when maybe we'll take a look at Lyra. Probably Lyra, though.